Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so honored and so very happy that you join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show, and please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcasts. We have two great guests for you today. Parvati Markus will be joining us a little later on to celebrate Isabella Castaspella. But first, we'll be speaking to Melissa Ahonen about her great kids book, It's Great to Be Me. Before we invite Melissa into the studio, we want to invite you to join us live. We will be back at the Buttonwood Park Zoo, April 1st. Buttonwood Park Zoo is one of the oldest zoos in the world. It is a beautiful, delightful little zoo. And it's all happening down in the beautiful city of New Bedford, Massachusetts, April 1st. We would love for you to join us. We'll have some magic. We'll have some authors. We'll be reading stories. You can be a part of a future episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. It's all happening April 1st, the Buttonwood Park Zoo in beautiful New Bedford, Massachusetts. The best way to make sure that you don't miss any news from the Reading with Your Kids podcast is by going to readingwithyourkids.com. Join us right now from beautiful North Dakota. Our guest is here today to celebrate her children's book. It's called It's Great to Be Me. Please welcome to the show, Melissa Ahonen. Hey, Melissa, how are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am wonderful because I think that it's great to be me.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That is the mission that I have with this book. So that's great. Starting off 100% today.
Yeah, I don't know if other people think it's great to be with me, but I think it's great to be me.
Good.
So this is a book of daily affirmations.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, until affirmations wasn't one of those words that I kind of grew up, using every day. Can you just talk a little bit about what an affirmation is and how it fits into It's Great to Be Me?
Absolutely. So an affirmation is really affirming with yourself different things that you can believe. So being kind, being smart, being brave, being unique, all of those different things you can say daily. I do them daily with my daughter, who's now 5. She was actually the inspiration for the book. But doing them daily helps you kind of affirm and believe in yourself and all of those qualities and all of those things that you say. Because really, at the end of the day, what you are and what you do is so much more important than those things that you own and the things that you possess. So I really stress that, especially when I do a lot of school visits with affirmations. But that is what it is, essentially, is affirming and knowing in yourself that you are all the things that you say.
Yeah. I think folks in my age, people who are almost 100, the word affirmations kind of gets a bad rap because of Saturday Night Live and Stuart Smalley, that skit. But I think that there is really something to it. We absolutely know that when people and kids engage in negative self-talk, it really affects them. So it makes perfect sense that if we're helping our kids speak to themselves in a positive, affirming way, that it's going to help them as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was my goal with this. Absolutely.
So what was the inspiration for you to write this particular book?
So, well, first of all, my dad had passed away in February of 21, and he had always said there were so many things that I wanted to do before he was passing away. He was on dialysis, so it made it very difficult for him to do anything. There's so many things I want to do, and now that I'm sick, I can't. And that really held with me and stayed with me, because I have been wanting to write since I was like 9, 10 years old. I'd go to author visits all the time, and I still have books to this day that authors wrote notes to me on, and I'm 41. So, 30 plus years later, I held on to those books as a reminder that that's what I want to be, or what I want to do when I get older. So aside from that, Aspen, my daughter, she will be 5 now, but she was 3.5 at the time. Her and I do still, but we did at the time, these affirmations that I'm brave, I'm kind, I'm smart, I'm talented. And one day, I'm sure you know who Darth Vader is. Our neighbor has this, I think, 15-foot tall blow up of Darth Vader, and she was scared of it. And rightfully so. She's just a little nugget.
I don't blame her.
Even if he wasn't 15 feet, I'd be a little shy of Darth Vader. But so she was a little scared of it. And I grabbed her hand. I was like, "It's okay, honey. We'll walk around it. We can go the other way." And she pulled on my hand and she said, "No, Mom, remember, I'm brave. I can do this." And right then it just stuck with me that these words are sticking with her. We are affirming all of these positive things in her head. And she is truly believing in herself. All of these things that we say, they're not just words to her, they're her belief. And so sitting there that one night, I just looked at Jim and I said, "You know what? I should write a children's book because I want children everywhere to understand how great they are by doing these things. You know, it's the things that you do, like I said, that make you a great person. Being kind, being brave, being talented. It's not the shoes you have or the phone that you own, but it's those things that you instill in yourself." So that was truly my light bulb moment. My husband's like, "I figured you'd come around one day or another and write a book." So that was the first step in deciding to write it.
That's wonderful. You know, your story about your daughter in Darth Vader, it reminds me of a moment my daughter and I experienced. I do educational magic shows around the country, and about 10 years ago, we went out for 3 weeks on tour. We're down in Atlanta in a school outside of Atlanta, and I selected this one young girl to come up and perform my levitation illusion. And when she lied down on the apparatus, I looked over and I saw she was in tears. And she was terrified, which isn't unusual. It happens maybe once a year or so. But I said, "You know, you don't have to do this. It's okay." And she said, "No, I really want to do this. I really want to be brave." And at that moment, I just asked my daughter to come up and stand at the other end of the apparatus and just, you know, give her some confidence. And she did. And somebody grabbed a picture of the three of us, and that young girl was so proud of herself that she went through it and she was able. And it's one of, I've been performing for over 30 years and, you know, thousands and thousands of shows. It is absolutely one of my favorite memories and one of my favorite pictures of my career.
And I bet that's a core memory for her as well. That little girl that went up. Absolutely.
I certainly hope so. Talk, please, a little bit about where you kind of fell in love, if you would, with affirmations, and when you discovered that this is something that's really important, not only for me, but for my kids and for other kids.
Right. So I was raised by a very, I wouldn't say strong, well, yeah, my mom is pretty strong, but very affirming mother that told us we can do whatever we want to do. We have to just put our mind to it. We have to dig deep and we have to do it. But she was very affirming in the things that we did in our life, that we can do whatever we wanted to accomplish. We just have to set our mind to it. So I feel like that's always been instilled in me since I was my children's age. You know, they believed in everything that we did and pushed us to do what we wanted to do in a wonderful, constructive way. So that essentially is what grounded me and what's always been instilled in me. And then when we have, our oldest son is 13, and I would do affirmations with him as well. It's just something I want my children to understand, that they can be all of these things as long as they believe in themselves. So it really stemmed from my childhood and wanting them to believe in themselves like I did when I was their age.
Yeah. With your daughter, is she one of these kids? I'm imagining my daughter was like this, who takes the lessons that she is learning from you and sharing them with her classmates and her friends. Is she the one out there going, "You can do it. You're awesome. You're amazing"?
Yeah, absolutely. She is. And I've been blessed that I get to share a lot of my message with different schools, but also with her preschool. I've gotten to go in and read, but I try to make it a daily thing that I ask her, you know, how was your day? And did you do anything kind to help someone today? Or were you brave in some way? to the point where I don't even have to ask her. Like, she'll get in the car and she'll say, I was kind today. I helped somebody when they spilt their food, pick it up. Or today she colored a picture and gave it to someone. And she said they were very happy with the picture. So it's, seeing that come to life with her and seeing her live that is a lot of fun when she's 5 years old. And my son does the same thing. He tries to give back and help people, but teenage years are a little more difficult with affirmation.
Tis true. But I think, I think when we help and we build that foundation with our young kids, that when they get to be in that middle school age where you want to kill them, you want to support them with all of your heart.
Your words, not mine.
When they get to be that age, they might not want to hear it from you on that day when they're 14, 15 years old, but they are hearing it in their mind, in their memory. And I think it's something that can really serve them well.
Right. Yes, I hope so. Absolutely.
Yeah. So how is the book set up? Do we have an affirmation for every single day? Do we go through like a calendar kind of thing?
So it's actually just a book filled with, I believe it's 14 different affirmations, or maybe it's 10. I have to go back and count, to be honest, because I add some too when I'm reading it with Aspen. But it's basically just a book that you can read every morning before your day starts, or every night after bed, or getting ready for bed. And then there's also some daily reflection questions that you can use. So like I said, the questions that I ask Aspen, they're also in the book. Like one of them is, what was challenging for you today? Or what did you find challenging and how did you overcome that? So different things instead of, and you know how it is with kids, they love yes or no questions because then they have to talk less and answer less. But they're very open-ended questions that you can discuss with your children. So we try to read it every single night. If we don't get to read it every night, we do our affirmations every night. But we pretty much have it memorized where I don't need the book.
Awesome. Yeah, if you're a new parent out there, you don't want to ask the question, how is your day at school? Because all you'll get is, okay.
It's fine. Yeah, like my teenager, it's fine.
Yeah, it's all right.
The shoulder shrug's fine.
Hey, you were talking about the different affirmations that you spoke with your daughter and that your daughter embraces, about being kind, about being brave. Is there an affirmation that you personally have a hard time with, that it takes you a little bit more effort to believe and own?
I work on I feel like I try to work on myself and my belief in myself every day. And I feel like everyone probably struggles with it. I would say my best would be being kind. I try to give back to everyone as much as I can, our community, our sports, just people in general. Being strong might be a challenge sometimes, mentally being strong. You can only be strong for so long, and then you kind of have to have your moment. So I'd say that would probably be one that I could do better at.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things I know as an athlete, when you know your weaknesses and you know your strengths, it helps your game, because you recognize, Absolutely. I need a little bit more work. If someone's going to try to go to my left, I have to be a little bit more, a little earlier. So understanding what we're great at and what we need a little extra help with can be really helpful to all of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you shared with us that you would go to author visits and get these notes from authors. Do you remember, was there one particular author that was especially inspiring to you, or one note that you've kind of go back to when you need an extra little bit of inspiration?
So Jane Yolen was one, and Steve Martin Jr. as well. So I believe they were on the same day. If not, they might have been the same week or same month. But I just remember seeing them very close. And that was 1993, because she wrote the year that she signed it. And she spent so much time chatting with me and reading through the story that I had, and it's probably like a page and a half story, not even, but she made it like it was the best book in the world, and she was wanting to talk to just me at that moment. And I'm sure she treated every other student there like that. The beautiful part about where I grew up, it was a very small town, so there weren't a ton of us. So we got a lot of time with each author as they would sit and talk with us. So I would say she was probably the most memorable one.
Awesome. Jane was one of the most memorable guests that we've had here on the podcast.
Oh, really? That's
she was
great.
An absolutely amazing guest, author of over 400 books.
Yes.
And one of she gave two pieces of advice to authors, and one of them was, forget about that line that most authors hear, write about what you know. She said, write about what you love.
Yeah.
And the other thing she said is that inspiration, there are stories all around us. We just need to open up our eyes to see them and discover them.
That's great advice. Absolutely.
Yeah. What a neat thing. And now you share something another thing in common with Jane Yolen.
Yeah. It's crazy, but yes.
So do you ever think that someday in the not too distant future, you will be able to come back on the Reading with Your Kids podcast, perhaps, and celebrate your 400th book, which is what Jane came on the podcast to do?
You know, that would be amazing, but I've got a lot of writing to do, I think.
Well, that is really wonderful. I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about It's Great to Be Me and find out more about you.
Yeah, you can go to my website. It's melissaahonen.com. You can see my books there. You can read a little bit about myself and some events and other things that I'm doing as well. You can reach out if you have questions. I'm very personable. I never shy away from answering any questions anyone has. You can also find me on Instagram and on Facebook at the same thing. It's actually Mel Ahonen are my handles on there.
Awesome. Well, we've had a wonderful time speaking to the author of It's Great to Be Me, Daily Affirmations for Kids. Our guest has been the author, Melissa Ahonen. Melissa, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Right now, through the magic of technology, we travel from beautiful North Dakota all the way out to Los Angeles, California, to speak with our next guest, Parvati Markus, all about her book, Isabella Castaspella. Join us right now from the beautiful city of Los Angeles in California. Our guest today is here to celebrate her wonderful chapter book. It's called Isabella Castaspella, The Happy Little Witch and Her Friends. Please welcome to the show, Parvati Markus. Hey, Parvati, how are you?
I am good, thank you.
Thanks for being here on the podcast. I can't wait to find out about Isabella.
Well, she's certainly wonderful to find out about.
Cool. Tell us all about Isabella and this story, please.
Well, it actually started about 20 years ago when my co-author, Rhoda Baum, had an inspiration about a story about a little witch. But then again, we both had exceedingly busy lives, and it never really happened until my co-author, about 2.5 years ago, was in a bad auto accident and broke her neck. And so she is still confined to home. And then the pandemic hit and I was confined to home. And, through the power of Zoom, we managed to finish the book.
Well, I'm glad the book got finished. I'm really sorry that it took a broken neck and worldwide pandemic to make it happen. But so tell us about the story that came out of those tragedies.
Well, Isabella is a happy little witch and who has learned her craft from her mentor, Witchy the Wise. And she has a best friend named Messy Tessie, who has, the usual childhood problem of never being able to find anything because everything's sort of a mess. She has a lovely little bulldog named Bruno. And Bruno winds up having a problem with the protagonist of the book, who is the bully, Lavinia Lamini. Everybody's got a Lavinia Lamini in their life somewhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And she gives him a cursed dog biscuit, and he becomes a problem for the town of East Broomfield, of course.
Uh-huh. Well,
and so Izzy and her friends, she's got a very diverse group of friends. I mean, there's Messy Tessie is her best friend, but there's Daisy Dew, who is sort of the artistic, intuitive, ADHD type of child. And then there is, there's Angel Cruz, who is the soccer champ, but he has problems reading. Mm-hmm. Everybody's, has some sort of aspect of childhood, to them. Daisy Dew, Angel Cruz. Then there's Moontoon. Moontoon is our musician, but he sort of doubts his abilities. So these are the things that Izzy helps her friends with, and in turn, they help her, especially since Lavinia Lamini is out to get Izzy. Because Izzy once, there was a Halloween where Lavinia Lamini scared all the little kids and grabbed their treats and, terrified the town. And Izzy stopped her. And so Lavinia's a little bit mad at Izzy.
Well, this sounds fun. I mean, the names are so much fun, and I think kids would just have a blast repeating the names and thinking about these characters and which one of their friends are most like each character.
All right. And then there's the animals, of course. Besides Bruno the dog, we have Myron, who is a frog, who becomes Izzy's pet. And then there's Maxine, who's a black cat. You have to have a black cat in a witch book. And, it's just a wonderful crew to hang out with. And the thing is, the book is all in rhyme. It's 10 chapters, and it's all in verse. And kids love trying to figure out, what the rhyming word is going to be.
I imagine so, yeah. Neat. So I know the broken neck and the pandemic were the keys to getting this story finished. I'm curious what the inspirational spark for the stories was.
Well, I think that when Rada was growing up, her mother used to tell her stories about a little witch. And I think that is what prompted the idea of it being a little witch. And other than that, she just had, who knows how the muse works.
And how did both of you come to collaborate on the story?
Well, we've been best friends for over 50 years.
That's wonderful.
And I am a writer and an editor professionally. So it just was Rada was, a nurse practitioner and an acupuncturist.
What an interesting combination of skills.
All right. So between the two of us, this is what came out.
Yeah. So neat. So neat. Well, we've had a really wonderful time speaking to the co-author of Isabella Castaspella, The Happy Little Witch and Her Friends. Our guest has been Parvati Markus. Hey, my friend, thank you so much for being with us.
You are welcome. It's been a delight.
Please be sure to join us for the next episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Lynn Cox. Lynn is a fascinating person. You don't want to miss this. She is, in addition to being a children's author, she is a world record holder endurance swimmer. And she is going to be telling us all about Yoshi Sea Turtle Genius. She's also going to be telling us what it was like swimming around the Cape of Good Hope. It's really fascinating. You don't want to miss it. That's the next episode of the podcast. You also learn a little bit something about me that you might not have known before. Yeah, check it out. You'll find it interesting. I promise. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Want to start by thanking our guest, Parvati Markus. Please be sure to check out Isabella Castaspella, The Happy Little Witch and Her Friends. Also want to thank our guest, Melissa Ahonen. Please be sure to check out It's Great to Be Me, Daily Affirmations for Kids. Want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Jordan Saley, Stephanie Davila, Will Cheever, Cassandra Mercenet, Sabrina Wu. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.